start with the pledge for anyone wishing to participate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will call this meeting to order. This is the Morgantown City Council regular meeting for Tuesday, January 20th at 7:02 p.m. We will first ask Clerk Wade to please call the roll.
Yes, Joe Buganin.
Present.
Jody Hollingshead. Here. Weezy Michael.
Here.
Jenny Celine. Here. Mark Downs.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Butcher.
Here.
Mayor Trumbull.
Here. Our first item of business is approval of minutes. We had the January 6, 2026 special meeting minutes and January 6, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Were there any additions or corrections? I passed along one correction to the clerk that Brennan Williams, who is appointed to the Traffic Commission, is appointed as the 5th Ward representative on the Traffic Commission. Any others? No? Approved by consensus? Great. Correspondence. We have the proclamation for Annalyn Stasek here on correspondence. That is on this agenda for informational purposes. She was unable to be in attendance at the meeting this evening, and Councilor Downs and I will present that proclamation in person at a later time. The second item of correspondence we have is the annual report from Main Street Morgantown. Cam Allen, welcome.
Howdy. That's loud.
They work now, by the way.
You've got some
in the room, not just online.
Do we have, okay. So I also brought a written copy of our year in review annual report. Okay, sounds good. All right, sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, here we go.
Do you want to be in charge of the little stroller?
Oh yeah, I would love that.
Okay.
All right, hello all. My name is Cam Allen. I am an operations manager with the Morgantown Area Partnership. I am accompanied by Russ Rogerson, CEO of the Morgantown Area Partnership, and I'm here to present our Main Street Morgantown 2025 year in review. If I can find our mouse.
May not be close enough.
If you would like, I can also scroll for you.
Oh yeah,
You just need to prompt me. Sometimes it likes to
I'm letting
do
pride
it,
get in the
other
way.
times it doesn't.
Okay, so who are we? Main Street Morgantown is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has been serving the downtown since 1984. Our mission is to steward a welcoming, vibrant, and prosperous downtown and wharf districts. In 2025, our executive committee members consisted of Andrew White, president and owner of Andrew White Guitars, Charlie McEwen, vice president and owner of Tanner's Alley Leather Design Studio, Jessica McDonald, treasurer and owner of Cacti and Mountains Design, and Steve Bennett, secretary from Valley Health. So this is one of our first big numbers of the presentation, and I feel like it was a good way to frame how we think about downtown. I know that it doesn't always come to mind, but downtown Morgantown is Monongalia County's second largest retail center. So downtown Morgantown is the place where the people are coming. They're coming to live, play, work, shop, you name it, right? More on that later. So in 2025, our aim was to have a downtown where everybody knew that something was happening all the time. For business owners, that meant having a slate of events that allowed them to shine a light on their business as well as the event at the same time. For event organizers, that meant positioning downtown as a locale of choice, so that when a visitor came downtown, the first thing they thought is, there's always something happening. There's always something that I can be experiencing. And for an event maker, that means that their event is going to be successful downtown. So in 2024, we aimed for 40 events for our 40th, and we hit about 60. And so this year we were going to shoot for the moon. The Main Street Morgantown calendar in 2025 consisted of 108 events. That's 80% more than 2024 and 200% more than 2023. So at that point, you're probably asking yourself, how did we do it? We had a little help from our friends, right? Main Street Morgantown runs their affiliates program, which features all sorts of events from the Morgantown Farmers Market to some events that just recently came back downtown, WV Vintage Fest, First Friday for the Arts, etc. All of those run under the banner of Main Street Morgantown affiliate event. So what does the affiliate events program actually do? It positions downtown as the destination of choice for event organizers in the community. So when we're thinking of downtown, what Main Street Morgantown seeks to do with this program is place Morgantown or downtown Morgantown at the forefront of your mind when you're thinking of where am I going to have my event, and when the community is thinking, where should I go this weekend? Where should I go tonight? They're thinking about downtown. I promise you that. And our goal in how we do this is supporting our existing events and lowering barriers for whatever next big thing is coming our way. And so we do this in 3 ways, which is on the next slide. First of all, we provide each affiliate event with expert marketing and communications. Ava Vavrick, our communications manager, has done a really well job of helping all of our affiliates out. If they need a press release, extra advertising, we share all of their posts on social media. If they have a question about downtown communications, downtown marketing, downtown best practices for their event, it's a one-stop shop. For equipment, we make accessible our affiliates closet. The affiliates closet has about $5,000 plus worth of equipment that is accessible for all affiliate events. This includes high tables, electricity, long tables, chairs, you name it. We got Mega Jenga in there, the whole 9 yards. And then we also provide logistical and technical support. So what that means is essentially if they need help with permitting, if they have a partnership question about how they can connect with other event members, if they've got a parking question, if they just want to talk with me for an hour about what they can do with their event and what opportunities are accessible, all of that is available to them. And what we seek to do is really boost events that are already, well-beloved, exist in the district, as well as promote some new things that are going on and help it make it easier for people to bring what they've got down here and succeed. And we can only provide such a slate of events because Main Street Morgantown has done 11 events this year, and we've historically done so many events, I can't even possibly name them all. Between 9 arts walks, 1 National Historic Preservation Month initiative, 1 trick or treat, 1 Downtown Dash sponsored by Breeze Line, 1 Small Business Saturday. We've done it all. And the next one is just posters for it too. And each one has individualized posters. Each one gets a press release. Everyone is advertised. And our goal is really just bring people downtown and shop at small business, right? And then 2 more events that we also did this year that weren't listed. The Downtown Opportunity Tour on August 27th. That led into the Downtown Merchant Mixer. So I'll start with the Opportunity Tour. The Opportunity Tour, which was led by Economic Vitality Committee volunteers, including Councilor Mark Downs, was an event where essentially we took a tour of downtown with a bunch of business professionals, and we showed them all of the opportunities. Well, really, Councilor Downs showed them all of the opportunities that were available in downtown, whether it was available spaces or what's new opening up or how they can get involved. It was the whole 9 yards, and we had a great day. It was beautiful weather. They got to go into some spaces that they wouldn't normally get to see. They got to see the new mural that we'll talk about later. They got to see the whole 9 yards, right? And then we had our merchant mixer afterwards, which was essentially an opportunity for members of the downtown business community to get together and talk about different opportunities in the downtown area and also just mingle.
Building the suspense.
Courtesy of Microsoft Edge.
That's where I'm turning. That's when you went, right?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good, we're good. So painting our story. In 2025, we saw $40,000 worth of investment in arts-led economic development initiatives in downtown and the Wharf area. So that included 15 Morgantown restored exhibitions. Those are exhibitions that ran out of Main Street Morgantown that put a spotlight on different available properties or different available opportunities in the downtown area. And that wouldn't be possible without all of our great property owners who were able to allow us to display those opportunities downtown. And then also Blake Wheeler's historic Morgantown mural in Wall Street Alley, which is currently partially put up right now, which celebrates Morgantown's industrial roots, as well as some characters in Morgantown's history, Mary Boehner, Ellie Manette, famous individuals who are the root of Morgantown's history. And that will be completed in later 2026, so look out for that. And I would be amiss if I did not mention the Wild Thread of High Street mural at South High Station. A big thank you to Joel Dugan, Mark Downs, Monongalia County Commission, Fairmont State Foundation, the YCF Organizational Arts Grant, and many more who allowed this to happen and allowed Main Street to dedicate this beautiful mural to South Downtown. This mural, held at a strategic gateway into South Downtown, helps visitors identify downtown in their minds when they're going in. And then also situated right at Deckers Creek, this mural helps make Deckers Creek a prime destination for people to go when they're coming downtown or when they're coming to Morgantown in general.
What?
14! 14!
Reveal.
I love it. I love it. I love the little theatrics.
I'm much better at computers than this is making me seem.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I get it. You know, I wanted to put this in a PowerPoint and it ended up being a PDF. So it's thwarted both of us. Yeah, so there were 14 new businesses in downtown Morgantown in 2025. And we helped them celebrate their milestones, their openings, and we helped them celebrate with Main Street Morgantown ribbon cuttings. Through ribbon cuttings, we give a moment to new businesses and others who are celebrating their special milestones to shine a light on all of the hard work that they've done and tell their story of how they got downtown and what the future holds for them. A special ribbon cutting that we did was at the retail lab on High Street. This project was actually really cool. So partnering with WVU fashion design students, this building, which used to be the Main Street office, underwent a $130,000 renovation to become an incubator space for WVU fashion and design students, and will hopefully become their first space that they have downtown before moving to an even bigger one down the street. And this was actually really special because Jessica McDonald, who is our treasurer, wrote an article and submitted it to Main Street America, and it actually got us recognized for this amazing partnership between all sorts of different individuals. And so this was something that was sort of national pride for us. And then the last number that I'll leave you all with is 5.3 million. According to Placer AI data that we've collected, 5.3 million is the number of visits that downtown received in 2025. This number, which represents 3 different states, is a massive number of people who are coming downtown to work, live, and play. It represents how many people are served in the downtown area, how many people are shopping at these small businesses, how many people are making downtown their favorite place to go and their favorite place to be in Morgantown. And now I'll be taking any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Cam?
No, I know that when Sister Cities had their downtown event, Cam, you were super helpful in terms of making sure that we were able to have our tents and our tables and just all those small things that a lot of people don't think about until the night before, and they go, oh my God, I need 8 tables. And you were there to help us, and I just really appreciate that.
Anytime, and anything you need in the future.
Other questions?
I appreciate, this is also not a question, but I appreciate the data, the number 2 data about being the most, is it the most visited or the largest, or how are you phrasing that?
It is the most visited, according to Placer AI.
Second most visited.
Second most visited. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
We're getting there. But anyway, I appreciate placing that information in front of us and in front of other people, because I think people don't always think about, even though traditionally people did think about downtown as their place. And I think the more that we make it into people's place, it will continue to regain that attention that it deserves.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Kim, thank you so much. I'm a huge fan of all of the events you all and your affiliates put on. And it really seems like you've got events on lock. So I guess my question would just be, what's next? What more do you want to do with Main Street?
So in the future, in terms of events, actually, we're going to be focusing on recruiting some successful events that are already happening outside of our footprint, and hopefully bringing them into downtown on our own. Because, I mean, we have 108. I would like to see, well, I won't set expectations too high for I won't set expectations too high for everybody, but I'd like to see us shoot for the moon once again.
Why not?
And it starts with recruiting people and letting people know, 5.3 million visits to downtown. People are coming downtown. Bring your event down here. You will be successful. This is the culture and arts center of Morgantown.
For sure, thanks.
They've built it, so they should come.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing a lot of this data shared on social media. I mean, there's a lot here, and I think there's a lot of perceptions that frankly need to change about downtown. And this information goes a long way towards changing it. And I also look forward to talking about closing High Street in the coming year. Thanks.
Will there be another tour?
There will, yeah, in fact, there
Is
will
that
be,
an
there will be,
annual-
there
is
will
that
be
an annual
another,
tour?
there will be another opportunity tour we're working on. We're working on one for April, the April timeframe, I can't remember the
Bridging
exact.
Innovation
Yeah,
Week.
the exact date, but bridging, it's gonna be in
April
conjunction with Bridging
26th.
Innovation Week, which is a statewide economic development conference that is being hosted by the city of Morgantown this year at the Waterfront Hotel.
Bridging Innovation Week is the week of April 27th.
Thank you.
And the throwdown?
Oh, yeah.
When's the throwdown coming? Soon.
Oh, I thought you knew. I was confused. But I'm very excited to see it come down here, right?
Yeah, it's great.
I will be there that day.
Have you seen it before?
Um,
It's really
No.
cool. It's really cool.
Really?
It would be lovely. It is so cool because you have snowboarders and skiers coming down a big platform in the middle of a city. It's very cool.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, years ago, and I can't remember what the
Sporting goods
event
store.
was, yeah, but there was a half pipe built out of snow.
Yeah.
Outside of Pathfinder on High Street. And the
Morgantown
snow-
Throwdown.
Snowboarding competition,
The
yeah.
Motown
I
Throwdown.
believe there was a DJ.
It
I have a
can be
picture
whatever
of me
anyone would like it to
dancing.
be.
Yeah.
My moves were
well, this sounds awesome.
captured forever
Well,
on the Instagram.
maybe you can
tentatively
come.
mark your calendar for February 21st, but I don't
Great.
think that's been publicly announced yet, but here we are.
You're the one that mentioned expectations being set.
It's on me. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Kim. We have another item of correspondence this evening. We have Sarah Cranston with the Morgantown Public Library System presenting their facilities report. Hi, Sarah.
Good evening. I was waiting to see if I get a button or not a button.
Technology in council chambers is not our strong suit, if you haven't noticed. We're working on it. It's a work in progress.
It's great.
It may be your controller.
We're working on it.
Would you like to
Okay.
attempt to click or try the button?
You,
But
well, you
if
can't take
doesn't
it very
work,
far.
I'm happy to
Let's see if
wait
we
for you.
We should just move the podium.
No, we're not. We're too.
You want to try this?
It's just the arrow, right?
Yeah, I just hit the right arrow and it moved to that, so you can hit left and see if it goes back.
Hi.
You're off the hook, Emily. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Cranston. I'm the director of the Morgantown Public Library System, and James Spears, the manager of the Morgantown Library and assistant director, is also here this evening, too. So over the last year or so, the library has taken part in a master facility plan, which is now available on the website. The link should have been shared with you. If you do need a paper copy of it, just let me know. I'll be happy to get you one. The report from the consultant that we used is available, plus the appendices, which include a lot of the data that I'm going to try really hard to not talk about tonight. But also happy to talk about that in much greater detail, really anytime. So we started in fall of 2003 when the library board was doing their overall strategic plan, or, we have to do a 5-year plan that gets reported to the state. And one of the main things that came out of that was the need for a master facility plan. And so we went through the process of figuring out what that means for us and what it looks like in doing an RFP. We ultimately selected Margaret Sullivan Studios to do the project for us. They are a national firm that really only does library design and strategic planning work. And they partnered with Library IQ, which is a data analytics company that specializes just in library data, to do the whole project for us. So as part of that, we've had Library IQ for almost a year now. Everybody loves it. It's really been transformative in our work in a lot of ways. So we're also working on keeping that for future use. And then from February through September of this past year, we did the internal work, which, if you've ever worked with a consultant, is way more work than you think it's going to be when you're like, we're going to get a consultant to do this. But they need a lot of information from us. So the staff worked really hard, both in like the pre-work stuff, but then also in the workshops that they did. Everybody came to it with an open mind and really got into the process and enjoyed it. They did a big community engagement program, or part of it too. All of that took, as everything does, longer than we expected, but we're really pleased with the whole process. Like everything that we do, it's rooted in our mission and values. Our mission is enriching our community through open access to information, resources, and experiences. And our values do not want to show up. We take these 4 values very seriously, both as we guide our internal work and as we present the library to the public too. Providing innovative service that's welcoming and fun to our community, fostering community well-being by offering programs, resources, and experiences. We believe stories are powerful and add meaning and value to our lives, especially when they're shared with others. And inclusion, where we honor human diversity by offering access to resources that present multiple views, and we provide inclusive opportunities for all. And I feel like it's all represented very well throughout the plan. We're going to do a full stretch for each one. So first we had to address sort of for internally, plus explain to our external audience, what is facilities master planning. And we basically wanted to reimagine what a library system would look like if we were starting from scratch. Are our buildings the right size? Are they where we want them to be? And what are we actually using the facilities for? And then also inherently, what can't we accomplish based on the buildings that we have? So from the RFP and our initial conversation with the Margaret Sullivan Group, these were sort of the main things that we identified as ambitions for the project. I pulled all of these screenshots out of their presentations and the plan, so I'm sorry if they're a little small and fuzzy. But the main ones here, at least for us, that we really focused on were the strategic financial stewardship, creating a roadmap for maintaining and renovating library facilities, and a consensus-driven approach to prioritization. So those are the behind-the-scenes nerdy ones, and then the fun ones were visionary planning for community needs and growth, creating community-centered spaces, and expansion recommendations for the library system. That's where things got colorful and fun, and less data. So the methodology, we incorporated existing regional studies like the city's plan, the county's plan, which both are on the same timeline, so that was helpful. the data analysis from Library IQ. This includes demographic information, and then also library usage data. Staff engagement workshops, we had a team of about 10 staff members who represented each location, and both public-facing and administrative to make those up. Community survey, community outreach events, and then a very targeted partner breakfast. This was the survey. By the end, we had, this says 850, but we were a little closer to 900 by the end of it. We got a lot of fantastic feedback. I mean, the people who completed the survey really didn't just fill in the bubbles, but gave us lots of great comments about what they really liked, what they felt was missing. I mean, we all know when you ask somebody's opinion, a lot of times you get that one thing from 10 years ago that's either been fixed or whatever, but these were really great and thoughtful answers. So some of the preliminary, you can see what our main audiences here are the people who responded. We have a lot of people who identify themselves as families, adults, caregivers, of course, lots of readers. That's kind of a given when you're willing to take a 10-minute survey for the library. And then the maker or the creative. So this is pretty typical of the breakdown of almost every category of statistics that we have, where Morgantown Main Library makes up about 70%. Cheat is a close second usually with 20 to 25%. The interesting one here is that people who only use the digital services made up 4% of our responders. When it actually comes to circulation numbers, that's much higher. But for people to identify solely as a digital user and not say that they have a home library is really something that we hadn't tapped into before. And then these were the top 5, sort of, if you could add any dream space into the library, what would it be? And I think they really all kind of mean the same thing: community garden, outdoor reading garden, reading nooks, vibrant cafe, and a messy maker space. You know, these are all places to be, and 4 out of 5 of them are places to be without a specific purpose, which is something that we see referenced in a lot of community building things, that people just need a space to be in order to gather, to have natural friendships and connections, and to feel like you belong someplace. And this is something that does not exist in any of our spaces right now. A tiny bit in downtown in the kids area, but it's super tiny and restrictive. So the fun part that we did with community members was we had them design libraries with these fun little bubbles of what they would put in all their spaces. It was really fun to see. The thing that popped up the most was a bubble that said Center for Happiness. So we had the staff do a whole exercise about what that would mean to them, which was a lot of fun and got them thinking in directions, you know, like, because not only do we all work there and we want it to be an enjoyable workplace, but we all also love and appreciate using the library as well. But it was a lot of fun to see what people really wanted to put into the library. And at some of the events that we went to, people got super into it, and we got a lot of feedback. And it was a great way to also, you know, have some good conversations. So we used these stickers that had words or some, like, you know, general images on it. So it was more vibes about what kind of a library they wanted rather than specific, like, drawings and things like that. The staff took it one step further, and we worked on breaking down what we normally think of as a library from a traditional building into typologies of libraries. So a bunch of different, you know, without thinking about specifics about where it would fit geographically, or, you know, what types of services you could offer through different types of buildings or amenities. And this was, to me, one of the best moments, like, from the staff work group side, because they really embraced it, which you'd think that people want to really hold on to the way it's always been. And instead, the idea, many of them hadn't thought about the idea of having a library in a storefront location. And what could you do with that? You could have super popular holds pickups. You could have computer centers. And so they broke all of these down and designed how many things they would like to see across the county. So we can be a lot of things. We can't be all the things all the time to everybody, but we can. This was the staff's one moment of getting to dream big here and not have to think about logistics. But we really looked at, like, if we could have mobile services anywhere, if we could do pop-up libraries, pop-up story times, or puppet shows, or a book bike, or any of those kinds of things, where would you want to see it go? And so we threw literally everything on the map. And then we started to break it down into how would we get there. And so this is where we take the sort of two sets of typologies, and we broke them into investing in community or investing in space. So things like a trail library or a pop-up or partner programs all take investing in the community, connections with people, in order to make those happen. It also takes logistics behind the scenes of being able to load up vans and having staff available to do it. But that's one road we can take. And then another one would be investing in place, in buildings, either building new buildings, trying out more temporary spaces, like something like a retail storefront, or what we couldn't stop laughing about through the whole process, where they called 5,000 square foot micro libraries, and that's bigger than all of our branch libraries. I was like, we are upgrading to micro.
Macro.
Right. But that's sort of the smallest library that anybody would consider building at this point, and it's triple the size of all of our branches. So this is the fork in the road, so to speak, about like how we would decide whether we want to pursue more of a creating services to connect with communities, to build more will, to later invest in the place. So once we had sort of that in mind, we started looking at the county as a whole. As our definition by the state goes for our legal service population, it's the entire county. The library board is appointed by the city. We are a municipal library. We do not have an MOU with any other municipality in the county, or with the county for that matter. We do have a levy that in the description says we will provide library services for Monongalia County, but nothing more specific than that. So there's room to explore new options, to move around. These sort of regions were hotly debated. We started off with, there were 5. We kind of tried to shrink them down. The Northwest and the Southern could also be 1 or 2. There's a lot of different ways to break things into different groups, but this is where we ended up settling because it seemed sort of, it's where the roads go. There was a lot of, well, you can't get there from there conversations as we tried to explain how the western end of the county works to our consultants who did come and visit and did go to Blacksville, but they still struggled with how we build things on sides of hills all the time. And so then we started putting in place the 2 vague groups of typographies and what we could look at. Now, we're not going to do all of this, of course, but we've put the framework in place to be able to consider, the opportunities as they come up, either as it relates to partnerships that we would want to pursue and not wait to just present themselves, or real estate possibilities. So using this framework of a financially stable model where we evaluate the readiness based on the community willingness to support the library, political will for whatever entity it falls underneath of, depending on where it is in the county, dedicated partners, and our financial capacities to both build and operate. And then we can use the communities to organize and advocate in the county. This is sort of what we're using to decide whether we move forward with either replacing or repairing. Repairing isn't an option really in most of any of our buildings. It's all replacing where it is or moving it and building new, but using that. So I won't go through all of the regions necessarily, but Region 1 it would be Morgantown and the very immediate surrounding. These are all, what the consultants did was they went through and they kind of identified what audiences were not quite reaching to the capacity they think we can, what future programs and services could look like that would connect with what people already like in that area. And many of them can have a transition plan, which might mean a small improvement now while building either financially or relationship-wise to get us to the full replacement. I'm going to preface this with, these are all concepts and not plans. I know that the word plan gets used a lot, but what they gave us was a concept for Morgantown to stay in the same building and reorganizing the space, such as something like turning the entire second floor just into a children's space. So there'd be more room to literally run around, but also it would be, away from the front door where you're right onto the busy Spruce Street. We'd be able to have programming in the same space as browsing, which works when you have kids in multiple age groups. And then reformatting the first floor. This, of course, removes a lot of the current books shelf space that we have, which is always controversial, but the data shows us how much of it sits after 3 years. So there's a lot of room to explore and things there too. So this would be one option, to keep the library where it is downtown, or everybody's favorite version is to move the library to the waterfront, Wharf District type area, where we can make use of every consultant group I ever sit with, for any group that brings in is doing a plan, every single one of them, right? We're not making good enough use of the waterfront area. So it's nice to be included in the group with everybody else. We can't all move there. We don't all necessarily want to leave the downtown district either. So like something like this would be considered if there was a lot of opportunity for improvement, like improved access for parking, being able to access it from the trail, better flow through the building, which can help us with our staffing. Like right now where each floor is very shut off, it takes a lot of staffing. If we had a more open, fluid building, we could, our operational costs could go down a little bit, or we could change the way we staff the building. So there's a lot of fun there, but it's not going to happen soon, right? Unless somebody has some property they want to donate. So we did this with each region, which I'll go through quickly so that we can, if you have questions. It also included the possibility of exploring a Suncrest micro-library. I have no doubt that there's the enthusiasm for a library in Suncrest. We hear this regularly. I think it would be amazing. But the big challenge there is the operational costs of staffing and running another location without any changes to our current makeup. And then Cheat gets a similar workup. The Cheat library, we could double or triple the size of it, and it's still and it would grow like crazy. They're so busy all the time. Their programs and story times regularly have 30-plus people at them. But this is a great example of what sort of a co-located library could look like with a partnership with rec, where there's not a public rec access to things like courts and fitness in the Cheat Lake area. It would be a great partnership, but whether that's a county thing or a city thing or whatever would be the next level to explore. Or something that the library just ran as. And then for Region 3, this is the what we currently would have Clay Battelle in the Blacksville area and what that would look like possibly with incorporating Mylan Park. And each of these has different focuses. And then the Region 4 would be what currently has the Arnottsville and Clinton libraries, which again have very different audiences and focuses right now. The Margaret Sullivan Group identified some next steps with us for us to help keep us on track, mostly coming up with a combined working group of city officials, library administration, pulling in some county people in order to keep communication open about possible partnerships. I know, there's lots of other entities looking at expanding space. Anytime we'd be able to share space where we could take a shared responsibility of keeping things staffed would be in everybody's benefit. And then the board started to work on the most immediate priorities, which are included on the website too, if you want to look at them in detail. But mostly at this point, it's figuring out finances of what it would take to operate. How much money would we need in our operating budget in order to run a Suncrest library or expand our outreach efforts to include something that looks more like a bookmobile or regularly occurring activities at senior centers or other places like that. Any questions?
Questions for Sarah?
Sarah, thank you for first of all, thank you for your leadership. You and your staff do an incredible job for our community. The library is a tremendous asset, and it's a destination for downtown and just great resource beyond that. Don't really have a question. I just want to really express my complete and total support for this plan, your endeavors to expand and grow, because I think the library, as great a job as you all do, I think if we give you better tools, if the community gives you better tools, you can do even more to support the community. So thank you, and let me know whatever you need from me.
Thank you, Counselor. Appreciate that.
And then I would also like to echo the counselor's sentiment. The fact that you need to expand is a testament to the hard work that you all have put in. And I appreciate this detailed report and just all the information that's in it. And I just appreciate all that hard work, so thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
I don't want this to become a gush fest, but you deserve it. You and your team absolutely deserve a moment of recognition for making the Morgantown Public Library system so much more than a library. You guys work so hard to contribute in ways that we couldn't have even imagined a library could not that many years ago. So thank you.
Thank you, Jody.
I say all the time that parks and libraries are what entice families to want to live in an area, and those are things that the city needs to invest in and support. So always happy to support you, especially during budget season like we're in now.
Thanks, Mayor. We
I am an
appreciate it as
avid
well.
library user, as you know. I see James all the time. I'm always in there returning and taking books. Like, my husband yells at me, "You already have 7 at home." I'm like, I know, I'll read them. Don't worry about it. I can get right through them. It's great.
Deputy Mayor Butcher is trying to say something.
Oh, Ryan.
Thank you, Joe. Sarah, yeah, that's an incredible presentation. You guys really we're really thoughtful and creative in ways that you engage the community, and I really appreciate that. It's really cool. Planners could learn a lot from what you guys did there. You talked a lot about what your dreams and hopes are for the library. What kind of challenges are you seeing right now?
I mean, funding is always a challenge. You know, nothing in our funding world is guaranteed. And it's all based on each other. Like, you know, our state funding has a match system that we have to match locally. We have great support from council and from city administration, and we're very thankful for that. But, you know, everything is always it could go away any year. The levy we at least get for a couple years. I think one of our big sort of like longer term challenges as funding goes is really improving our ability to fundraise. It's not in our capacity with our current staff, meaning primarily me. It is not something that I have, you know, running a capital campaign is not something that we've ever really done. We were super proud of our like $4,000 that we raised this year for Day of Giving. That was huge. That's the most we've ever done. But if we want to build buildings, we need real sort of strategic and structural help to raise those kinds of funds.
I appreciate it that you have some items, so after you went big and broad, that you had a few things to sort of start knocking off the list, which is going to be the best way to handle the beginning of this as you figure out how to marshal the more funds. But it's neat to just kind of figure out the really huge picture and then figure out how to get started. So I appreciate it that your presentation included both of those, because you do a really nice job and you have a lot of support in the community. So
Thank you, Councilor.
If you need Morgantown Forward to come and paint for you, you let us know.
I will.
In exchange for those book trails you put up, we will come and help you paint.
When would your levy come back up?
We are generally speaking on the presidential primary election, so 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, we're halfway there. Yeah, we'd like to, you know, be able to show, our levy funds are operational. They are not, like the park funds, a certain amount of that is dedicated to capital projects, and ours are not, they're strictly operational. So it makes it a little bit harder to do flashy things and point a big arrow to the levy on it, but it's, yeah, we have 2 more years.
Yeah.
I mean, your employees are not wearing, little recognitions on them?
Not yet. We'll take the NASCAR
I
approach.
appreciate Councilor Butcher's question, and now's obviously the time to start planning if that's going to be a lever that you know is looked to fill a gap in a capital stack for facilities budget. So happy to talk about you know, sourcing someone or some people to help with run a capital campaign. So I think that's a great idea.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. That is the end of our planned correspondence. Clerk Wade, did we have any additional correspondence?
No, Mayor.
I had none. Did any member of council have correspondence to share? Seeing none. We have no public hearings this evening, which brings us to unfinished business. Our only item of unfinished business is boards and commissions. Is there any member of council that wishes to make an appointment this evening?
I would like to nominate Stephanie Hunt to the Morgantown Transit Authority.
The Mountain Line
Second.
Transit Authority? Thank you. All in favor? Yes?
Aye.
And that is a reappointment. Councilor Michael, do you have one?
I'd like to appoint Stephanie Hunt to the Human Rights Commission.
Second?
All in favor? Yes. Councilor Holmes?
I'd like to nominate James Spears for the Historic Landmarks Commission.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor? Yes. Great. Councilor Singh?
I'd like to nominate Rochelle Gonzalez to the Human Rights Commission.
Second.
Thank you. Yes. Great. And Councilor Downs?
I will nominate Lucy Allen to the Human Rights Commission.
Second.
All in favor? Great. Those folks will be hearing from the clerk's office about their appointments. Is there anyone that we missed? That was the list that I had. All right. We have no special committee. Oh no, we're on the public portion, sorry. Public hearing, public portion, it's all. We will now move into the public portion of tonight's meeting, which is subject to rules established by council, adopted by resolution. Generally, you have 4 minutes to speak. You must come to the podium and state your name and address for the official record. No personal comments or comments directed at any single council person will be tolerated. There was a sign-up sheet. We will first go off of this sign-up sheet, but it is not a requirement for speaking. If there's anyone after we go through the list, you are welcome to do so at that time. So we'll open the public portion. The first person on the list is Paige Rearing.
Okay, and I learned my lesson. I'll stand back here. My name is Paige Rearing. I live just down the street here on Spruce. I'm here today to speak on behalf of my neighbors who are too scared to be here. We do not want immigration and customs enforcement operatives in our city, and we ask that every public servant, from council to clerk to police, make our city as inhospitable to these ICE agents as possible. I appreciate the statements made by Mayor Trumbull and Deputy Mayor Butcher, but I hope today to reach those whose hearts may still be petrified. Believing as I do that I read the future aright, it would be criminal in me to remain silent. Many of the people who have been kidnapped from our state were literally just doing their jobs. 40 people have already been detained in our state this year. According to West Virginia Watch, ICE pays the state $90 for each day it holds a detainee. So perhaps that is why DHS established a base of operations in Morgantown. The same van that kidnapped 2 restaurant workers in Nutter's Fort, Pennsylvania plate LNK unknown 544, spent several nights here at the Residence Inn by Marriott across the street from the Children's Hospital. This van was part of an ICE fleet that engaged in high-speed car chases, one of which resulted in a crash near the Bridge Sports Complex in Bridgeport. According to West Virginia's news, 2 Harrison County commissioners said the incidents created more risk to the public than was necessary. Journalists who tried to film the arrest were intimidated by armed agents who said that filming was not allowed, in direct violation of the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment. Lindsay Fonseca, owner of Taqueria Lulu, where the detainees worked, said this the night of the arrests. I am brokenhearted of the events that took place today. These people came to Christmas, we celebrated birthdays, they came on a dime's notice if we needed help. They have family. They are friends, they are people. These men were not bad guys. They came to work, did their job, and went home. No drugs, no drinking, no kidnapping kids, no horror story, just people. Pray for us. While ICE has not yet targeted Morgantown, agents have been seen scouting our neighbors across the river, tailing a University High School bus from Westover to Granville last Thursday. And I presume we will see ICE in our streets very soon. Some listening may think that this will not affect them, but each day we see more people caught in the crossfire. Renee Good, a poet and writer and wife and mom, has been labeled a domestic terrorist by the federal government. And DHS has used this as an excuse to implement de facto martial law in Minneapolis. The Fifth Amendment reads that no person shall be deprived of either life or liberty without due process of law, and yet Good was never given that opportunity. Such slander is not unheard of in West Virginia. We heard similar smears about striking miners and their supporters when the National Guard was sent to paint in Cabin Creeks and when the Army assisted King Cole at the Battle of Blair Mountain. ICE agents, modern-day Baldwin Felts bloodhounds, run wild in our hills, and when they turn their gaze to Morgantown, we should not be surprised when they show us the same warmth they showed Renee, that of a fired gun. If we cannot be safe, we must be good. And as Mother Jones said, pray for the dead, fight like hell for the living. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person on the list is Torley Bush.
Good evening to the council. I'm from just across the river in Westover. I was also wanting to speak this evening with regard to the Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement operations. There's two data sets from the Cato Institute in Washington, D.C. That span from January 2025 to November last year that showed consistently on a month-to-month basis 2/3 of people detained by ICE do not have a criminal conviction, and as low as 5% are convicted of a violent crime. Just for the sake of time, after the meeting, if any of the council members are interested, I can provide those articles to them. If we think of that trend in terms of our immigrant neighbors here in Morgantown, regardless of their status, we know who the targeted victims of this operation would be. Blue-collar service and healthcare workers, as well as international students and faculty of the university who contribute to the wider academic community and sustain WVU as a top research institution in the state. ICE's actions elsewhere in the country have been unpredictable and dangerous, and here they could very well disrupt the several ways that both immigrants and citizens of color contribute to the economy and sustainability of Morgantown, one of the few places of our state that's still experiencing growth. I would also ask the council to consider how its actions moving forward will not only affect the working and academic areas that Morgantown is tied to, but the city's relationship with its charitable partners. I think that any cooperative ordinances, resolutions, or memos with respect to ICE would only serve to alienate the city from those partners, and I'm thinking here primarily of Catholic Charities, which the council and the city worked very hard with to establish the warming shelter. Catholic leadership, from Pope Leo to the Conference of Catholic Bishops here in the United States, even the Bishop of the Wheeling-Charleston Diocese here in West Virginia, they've all made their stance pretty clear that they're with immigrants and wanting to work towards their dignity and rights being respected. And I think that it is the intentions of the council to see that those rights and dignities are upheld. I think we saw the beginnings of that with the mayor and deputy mayor's statement. But the people also need to see that translated into tangible action in a continuation of the types of sentiments that were made in that statement of being with people who are immigrants, but also in rejecting the type of authority that, as we've seen and has been mentioned in Minnesota, is really treating all of us as less than human. And to that end, I would hope that the council and the city would look to other partners like Mountain State Justice, ACLU of West Virginia, and the various progressive faith-based communities here in Morgantown to help the city navigate through this moment. And I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Next person on the list is Michaelin A.
Good evening. My name is Michael and I live over in First Ward on Elysian Avenue. Madam Mayor and Council, the letter regarding ICE was a weak and pathetic attempt to address the very real concerns of our community. Allow me to translate your letter into plain language the way it read to many of us. The city of Morgantown is here to help, but only after we let ICE screw you over. Super great sentiment, folks. That's what you're putting out into the community. What your letter should have been was nothing short of a full-throated condemnation of ICE. You'll see on my shirt our state motto, uphold it by doing better.
Those were the only 3 names on the list this evening. Is there anyone else wishing to speak during the public portion? You can approach and state your name and address for the record.
My name's Timothy McCollum. I also live in First Ward on Elysian Avenue. That was my wife that just addressed you guys. I had something written here, but I want to address. Paige said she's here to speak on behalf of the people that are too afraid to speak. I'm 38 years old. I'm white. I'm cisgender, heterosexual. I'm a Christian. I was born here in the United States. My parents were born in the United States, as were my grandparents, my great-grandparents. I'm as far from any minority as you can get. I'm about as privileged as you can get. I'm afraid. I'm scared of what happens when ICE comes to Morgantown. I'm afraid for myself. I'm afraid for my family. I'm afraid for my neighbors, my friends, my coworkers. And we heard from people tonight about Main Street Morgantown and the growth that's happened there, about the public library and the growth that has happened there. Do you know what happens when people are afraid? They hunker down and they stay home. They don't go to downtown. It doesn't matter if there's a half pipe. They don't go to the library. It doesn't matter if there's a garden. They stay home. Gentleman's report tonight said there's been an 80% growth in the downtown events. You want to see an 80% decrease? Jackbooted thugs asking people to see their papers is exactly how you do that. And that is what will happen. Edmund Burke said that all that is necessary for evil to triumph is that good men do nothing. So I implore you, do not sit idly by and do nothing. Do not refuse to take a side. Simply not offering cooperation is no longer enough. The position that ICE has no place in Morgantown, that they are not welcome, and that their presence will not be tolerated must be clear. It must be spoken forth in one voice. And as the leaders of our city and our community, you cannot simply be part of that voice. You must be the face of that voice. And I encourage you to do so. Thank you.
There's a gentleman in the back.
Hello, my name is Nick Zorczynski. I live in South Park. And I really appreciate all of the statistics and citations and the arguments that the people who've spoken before me have brought. So I won't repeat them. Instead, I will yes and them in that I think all of those are legitimate concerns for our community and for our safety and for our prosperity. But there's even perhaps just 2 things that are also weighing on my mind. One is maybe an emotional call to action. You know, I have a small child, and he's getting to the age where he can understand what's going on. I have to explain to him that his grandpa died. I have to explain to him that there's certain members of my family I don't talk to anymore. Do I really now have to explain why there are masked people carrying assault weapons walking around our city? Are you freaking kidding me? Think about that. That's not something that happens in this country. Why is everybody acting like it's normal or it's okay? It's the furthest thing possible. And then to add to that, the people who are carrying these weapons are not in any kind of uniform. They haven't been trained in person. They do 4 weeks online and they bring their own guns from home. It's not like this is a well-organized operation. It's, again, what was jackbooted thugs? Yeah, 100%, you know? I can't believe that it's come to this, and I can't believe that there even has to be a conversation about whether we're going to cooperate with this or not. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will close the public portion. There are no special committee reports this evening. We move into the consent agenda. I will read each item on the consent agenda. If there's any member of council willing to pull Any item off of the consent agenda, they may do so before a motion is made and a vote is taken. Otherwise, the vote is taken on all items together. 2 items on the consent agenda this evening are consideration of approval of a first reading of an ordinance authorizing a lease agreement with Intune Counseling LLC for office space at the Morgantown Municipal Airport. The second item, consideration of approval of first reading of an ordinance providing for annual reporting by boards and commissions.
Move to approve?
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. Clerk Wade?
Yes. Joe Buganim?
Yes?
Jody Hollingshead?
Yes.
Weezy Michael?
Yes?
Jenny Celine?
Yes.
Mark Downs?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Trumbull?
Yes, passes 7-0. New business, we have 1 item of new business. Item A, consideration of approval of a resolution approving and authorizing the submittal of a substantial amendment to the fiscal year 2025 annual action plan for the use of CDBG funds.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I will run briefly down the process. This is a proposed resolution for our amendment to our annual action plan for our fiscal year 2025. Last year, at the end of last year, we did an annual amendment for our fiscal years 19, 20, 23, and 24. And as part of that project, we looked to accomplish several things, including making sure that we are able to draw down those funds in a timely manner. We also addressed some concerns related to a green space in the Greenmont neighborhood that was previously identified in one location that we needed to locate in a different location. As we've worked through that process, we had several engagement opportunities, including interaction with those in the Greenmont neighborhood to seek what was important to them as we move forward into this public green space planning. Through that process, one of the things that we heard come out time and time again as a really key item that they'd love to see is a pedestrian bridge. So as we move forward and we're starting to work through the spending of these funds, the pedestrian bridge was an item contemplated in that green space area, but not specifically gone into as a main component. We have been very fortunate to receive a donation of a 100-foot pre-engineered fiber reinforced polymer bridge from WVU as a donation, which will help us move our project along much faster than originally anticipated. So the pedestrian bridge has now become a real reality of something that we could execute much quicker than a future part of the plan for this Greenmont neighborhood area green space. So what this substantial amendment does, and as we work through substantial amendment processes, these are required to be posted. We put them in the newspaper. They're posted in various public places such as the library, our city hall. We do offer a comment period where people can provide some engagement before we bring it to you all to do a proposed plan amendment that we submit to our CDBG funding partners to establish a new project. So what we are doing tonight is establishing a pedestrian bridge project and taking funding and reallocating from some of the other projects in order to make sure that we can move forward with this pedestrian bridge project. This will allow us to see that happen. I do want to highlight, this is only amending our fiscal year 25 allocations, and there is still funding available in those fiscal year 19, 20, 23, and 24 funding allocations towards this Greenmont green space area, including there's about $272,000 allocated towards that program that is staying with that project. This is just us peeling off a portion of it to move the pedestrian bridge forward. So public feedback that we have generally heard through this process was that they are supportive of the pedestrian bridge moving forward. That's a part of the project that they want to see happen, but the neighborhood appreciates a continued focus to make sure that green space becomes a reality as well as we consider future funding for CDBG. So what is before you today will allow us to move forward on the pedestrian bridge. Efforts towards the lower Greenmont green space does remain a priority. Staff, in fact, just this week, or last week, met with our HRG design group, who's completed surveys. They did some borings last week. They are working through some landscape architecture plans and working to bring some concepts back to the neighborhood. So wanted to make sure that we're clear that this allows us to move forward on the PED bridge, but that doesn't mean that the other portion of this project is going to lie fallow, that there is still work being done on that. So before you would allow us to create this new project, reallocate funds, and move forward with the bridge part of this program.
Questions for the city manager on this item?
When should we expect to see those renderings or plans from HRG and/or other consultants associated with landscape architecture?
I can get you a more firm timeline. Staff just met with them that last week, so need to get that feedback from them.
Yeah, and I'm particularly interested in feedback after the neighborhood listening session that we held, and which was great and greatly attended, and yeah, so interested in what that timeline looks, and to work on setting expectations for when the stakeholder community might see some follow-up.
Absolutely, and we will see if we can get that timeline solidified. I do know that staff is going to the Greenmont neighborhood meeting next Monday, and they will talk about a variety of things, but Damien will be present as well to address questions related to the bridge, so we'll see if we can get a timeline put together before then.
In the paperwork in the packet, I know the bridge is longer than the span of the creek. The packet showed that we're going to reroute the rail trail in that area. Is that the current plan instead of trying to shorten the bridge?
Yes, there'll be some minor modifications to the rail trail that will be designed as part of this process.
How does that work, pardon, with the right-of-way and the ballast and all that? I'm looking at that.
I'm like, oh yeah, that one. That's the picture.
I'm looking at it. Do we have all the right-of-way we need and everything? I mean, it's a park, so.
Yeah, we will believe that we will be able to engineer and design it in a way that accomplishes within the current right-of-way.
So this won't void the warranty of the bridge?
Right.
All right.
It's a tough thing. I'm glad it's being accomplished.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the substantial amendment to the CDBG action plan? Seeing none. Quick wait.
Yes, Joe Buganim?
Yes.
Jody Hollingshead?
Yes.
Weezy Michael?
Yes.
Jenny Celine?
Yes.
Mark Downs?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Trumbull?
Yes. Passes 7-0. City manager's report.
Just a couple of brief items. Mentioned that we'll be traveling Sunday through Tuesday for the West Virginia Municipal League, and then we will be back here for the Tuesday's Committee of the Whole, so I'm looking forward to engaging in Charleston. Along those lines, we do anticipate, and staff's aware of and monitoring some anticipated snow impacts as we head into the weekend. So our public works crew is always on high alert this time of year, and certainly they've even shifted into a staffing model that has different staff scheduled at different times to allow more coverage throughout the entire week. But we will make sure all proper preparations are made related to public works to respond to the storm. I wanted to thank you all for the small budget discussions as we're working through our capital plan. I will ask that the week of February 9th, we would like to have small meeting as well, the one-on-one meeting related to operations and personnel. If you could take a look at your calendar and let me know which days to avoid for each of you personally, we can get that scheduled with an anticipation that the February Committee of the Whole, we will present the budget for consideration and adoption in March. So that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Yes, Mayor. The Fire Civil Service Commission will be holding entry-level firefighter exams The agility exam is January 31st. That's a Saturday at 9 a.m. Those passing the agility will move forward to the written exam, which is about 30 days after, on February 26th. That's a Thursday at 6 p.m. We gathered last week. It was a last-minute gather, so I do want to share that with you, Mayor, because I know you'd like to go with us. So you'll have to make a special call out to Lieutenant Doug Sharp. We gathered to celebrate 30 years with the Morgantown Fire Department. And so we honored him and his service and his commitment that he has shown to the community since January 2nd, 1996. So we honor him and congratulate him for this milestone. If folks are interested in participating in the entry-level firefighter exam, it's an easy find on our website at morgantownwv.gov. If you hover over departments and then fire department, right as soon as you see the front page there, it says apply to be a Morgantown firefighter. So it's a quick, easy link to apply online. If folks have any difficulties or need assistance, please reach out to the clerk's office. Also, this Saturday, January 24th at 9 a.m., the Police Civil Service Commission will hold entry-level police officer written and agility exams. It's not too late to apply, so please reach out to the clerk's office. Again, you could apply online. Go to morgantownwv.gov, hover over departments, find police department, and there's a link there to apply online. The exam, it will be located at the Public Safety Building, located at 300 Spruce Street. The Police Civil Service Commission will hold oral interviews for those who do pass the agility and the written exam immediately after the agility exam. And additionally, the commission will meet prior to the testing to elect their president and certify names, and that's one of the last things that the Police Civil Service Commissioners do before they go to interviews with our administration. So I want to thank the Police Civil Service Commission and the Fire Civil Service Commissioners for their work and their diligence in trying to get our new folks in to be employees. And then that takes me to our boards and commissions. We do have many vacancies, as you all know, and I appreciate your appointments. For folks out in our city who would like to volunteer, it's easy to find that as well on morgantownwv.gov. If you search volunteer opportunities, there's a long list of our boards and commissions who have vacancies. There's a link to that specific board or commission that gives information about what their purpose is, when they meet, things like that, how to apply. So if someone is interested in being on a board or commission, we just ask that you take a little bit of time and check out our website or call the city clerk's office. And we can certainly help them and get them connected to a chair or one of you all who might be able to answer this. And that concludes our report. Yeah.
We'll skip over the city attorney's report this evening, as we have no city attorney this evening. Move on to report from council members. Councilor Abu Ghanam, you'll do first.
Actually, I don't really have anything to report this weekend because we were at a wrestling tournament and our girls were setting a precedent for the first time ever at our OVAX conference, which is one of the oldest conferences in the United States. And the girls of Morgantown and Morgantown High are now solidly put in the record books for the first time ever. So that's it.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Very proud, really proud of them. Our girls program continues to grow. And, yeah.
I saw Nettie had won, and I recognized her from the mock city council meeting during municipal government week. So
actually, both of the girls that were there were on our mock city council, so they're active in being aware as well as on the mat, so couldn't be more proud.
Fantastic.
I only have one thing today. Tried to write it down, but my pen died. February 10th, we're going to have an open house at Wiles Hills Community Center, and it's going to be featuring MRTC Partnership Programming, Studio 287 workshops, Eureka Cafe, of course, the open gymnasium access, and we're going to have a health hour with a retired doctor. And the next meeting, I'll have a time for all that. It hasn't been set. So.
Yeah, that's part of Beau Park's neighborhood
Right.
nights that they're doing last week, the week before. They
What-
did a free event at the Ice Arena,
Yeah.
and next month is the Miles Hill Community Center.
Do you have
It's
a time
usually
on
the second Tuesday, pardon.
Do you have a time?
I did not get a time.
I didn't get a time either. Okay,
Councilor Hawkinson?
that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Apologies because I actually have several items, but I'll try to be brief. Last week, Danielle and I attended the Neighborhood Coordinating Council meeting, which I always enjoy hearing from the other neighborhood associations. And South Park's major update is just that our January meeting will be officers only so that we can sort of plan out the year before we get the neighborhood involved. We had our first housing info session on Wednesday. Mark and Danielle and I were there, and it was great to engage with folks from the community about some of the ways the city can potentially create some more affordable housing. Thanks to Development Services for putting all of that together. As Mayor Trumbull mentioned, it's budget season, and as a first-time city councilor, I'm learning a lot. But I wanted to state that I'm having some promising conversations about advocating for transparency in the next cycle and advocating for some more opportunities for public education and input regarding our budget. The city budget is a way that we communicate our priorities and what matters to us. And I want you to know that we all are aware of that and working towards being truer to those priorities. I'm sure Mayor Trumbull will mention the fundraiser next week for the warming shelter. But I also wanted to share that Councilor Downs and I spoke with Cassidy at the West Run facility where the warming shelter is located just this morning. And Cassidy was kind enough to send me some really promising and encouraging stories about just some positive outcomes that are coming from the warming shelter alone. Because of the stability that even a temporary warming shelter provides, many of the people utilizing the facility, the shelter, are able to access occupational therapy services, psychological services, peer recovery support services, as well as being able to attend doctor's appointments and go get the medication that they need. So I just wanted to say that tonight because even something as temporary as a warming shelter, even that level of stability makes such a huge difference in the lives of these people. I mentioned that to publicly state that and share that information, as well as encourage folks to donate if you are financially able to. Also come to the fundraiser, which I'm sure Danielle will share more details about next week. And finally, thank you to everyone who came to speak tonight, to speak up for our community members who cannot speak up for themselves. I want to be very clear about where I personally stand, and that is obviously for the dignity and safety and prosperity and human rights of immigrants. Families in our community, our very community, are hurting and scared and financially disabled, among many other impacts, because of the abhorrent, inhumane actions of these untrained officers. We are having continuous conversations about different ways we as a city can protect our neighbors. I just wanted to thank you for coming to advocate for them, and I wanted to be clear about where I stand. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilor Swain.
Those in the Evansdale Neighborhood Association have been passing around information about MUB being in their area and lining the pipes. This is something that is, maybe you can shed a little bit more light on it, but this is something that is needed in our area, but it's also something that people have questions about because it put fumes into some people's houses, and they were very concerned about it, and some of them were aware that this was going to happen and some of them weren't. And so one suggestion was more like door hangers and things like that when there's work that's being done that is the type of work that's that kind of intrusive and invasive that people would have unusual presumably chemical smells coming into their homes. And so I know that it was addressed many different ways, and I know that there was a lot of communication back to the neighborhood association. And so both the work that's being done and the fact that neighbors did feel comfortable speaking up and requesting that they get more information is super helpful. I would love to know a little bit more about, I read bits and pieces of things, but I would love to know a little bit more about this lining process and just sort of highlights of how long it might be have improvement and what happens when you're lining in areas where there are areas where the pavements, the concrete's crushed down quite a bit. And so I'm wondering what happens when you're lining something and it's already pretty crushed. I didn't know kind of how that works. So that might not be something that people here tonight can answer, might be. But if it isn't, I would love to have just a little bit more information about that process. I very much also appreciated the library's presentation this evening, the Main Street's presentation this evening, and those who came to speak about our neighbors that may not have a good way to protect themselves, and how we might address those concerns from ICE. The second housing workshop, I think we should highlight, is it tomorrow night or Thursday night? Thursday night. So I would love it if someone would highlight the time and the location.
Thursday at the Woodburn Community Complex, formerly Woodburn Elementary, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Director Yeager and I stopped by today to scout the scene.
That is open house drop-in style, by the way, so you don't need to be able to come the whole time. Just come check it out, leave when you need to.
Woodburn, Thursday, 6 to 7:30. All right. Thank you very much. Somehow I had it in my head that it was Wednesday and Wednesday, so now I have it more clearly aligned. So I'd like to pass things along to Mark. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. So, yeah, in terms of MUB and the Evansdale lining, I guess there has been lots of communication. And it so happened that the communications were coming into me when Jamie and I were there on Friday meeting with MUB at the MUB office. And we were real time passing that on, passing that along to them. Yeah, and so in terms of the process, just because so they do go through and camera the pipes before they line them to make sure they're not crushed. So whatever is happening in those instances, I think we can rely on that process that the infrastructure is intact before they go and line it. Certainly we can get more information from MUB when they come forward. They come to us on the 27th at the Committee of the Whole. We suggested some improvements in terms of outreach, I know they leverage the door hangers. Door hangers, I don't think are, you know, I mean, they're not 100% reliable method. So we, I know, like for instance, there's an Evansdale Neighborhood Association email address.
Yes, there is.
Let's reach out to the email address and let them know when we're going to do something in their area. I mean, that seems like low hanging fruit. So, I think we're fortunate to have a utility that is committed to getting that feedback and acting on it. So, and they are.
Yeah, those appreciate it.
We talked about the 22nd housing listening session. Again, if you can spend 5 minutes going through it, and you literally can. I mean, it's very straightforward. Look at the options that we're considering and weigh in, please. I think we had about 16 to 20 people come through the last session. It was very engaging. So that was fun. Greenmont Neighborhood Association on Monday, the 26th at 7 p.m. at Jean's in the Speakeasy downstairs. So looking forward to that. The West Virginia Balance of State point in time count is happening on the 28th from 4 p.m. to the 29th of this month, next week, at 3:59 p.m. If you don't know what this is, every curriculum of care in the nation does a count of all people experiencing homelessness in a shelter or on the street in the last 10 days of January, and all that data is accumulated nationally, and it drives how funds are allocated around the country. So I will be volunteering for that point in time count. You can still sign up to volunteer if you're interested. Go to West Virginia wvbos.pointintime.info for more information. We've got, Jody mentioned the warm-up annual third annual warming shelter fundraiser on the same night from 6 p.m. starting at 6 p.m. at the co-op. And then I want to just talk about the budget process, and it's my first time going through it as well. And I think it's important that folks know, get updates periodically as we're working through this. And I want to kind of just be clear about the focus that I'm bringing to these discussions as we go through the process for the public and for council. We all can't be in these meetings at the same time. So, but I've stated many times that our city's not in a growth phase. If we track our revenue, we're down over time, adjusted for inflation, for about the last 10 plus years. So we will get back to growth, but that requires us acknowledging where we are today and being intentional about turning that around. So right now we're in a period of contraction, and you know, costs, nothing's getting cheaper. Costs continue to go up. Demands can continue to rise. And that makes discipline essential. It really does. And looking at the budget, what concerns me is that we have historic allocations and restrictions that we're operating with that makes it harder for us as a city to manage core priorities like infrastructure and maintenance and basic services, where, you know, kind of each well-intentioned allocation or required allocation of funds reduces our ability to respond to evolving demands. So I'm also concerned about spending that functions as a subsidy, particularly where public dollars are already being allocated. And kind of the revenue constrained environment that we're operating in, I think we owe residents clarity, restraint, and maturity about how we move forward. So more transparency is something that I advocate for as well. And I just felt compelled to make these comments publicly to be clear about kind of the lens that I'm bringing to looking at the budget, as information that we're consuming now turns into decisions that we apply later. This process is presenting us some real challenges. I think we can be honest about that. And I expect we're going to be able to meet these challenges, and we're going to be able to turn this around, and we're going to get back to growth. But again, if we don't acknowledge where we are, it makes it harder to do that. So I appreciate the opportunity to say that, share that. I want to thank the folks that turned out here to talk about something that I care about tremendously as well. I hear you. So thank you.
Deputy Mayor Butcher?
Yes, thank you. I apologize to everybody. I have some kind of stomach flu and did not want to give it to everybody else. And yeah, so.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was just a technical issue that we probably need to figure out how we can address with IT that has happened probably more than we realize, and I've noticed it happening. We get constituent emails pretty frequently that go to spam. I mean, that's essentially what it is. We got one today. You guys may see it in your spam right now if you go look. It's a lady who's talking about her driveway. And I saw it come in as a notification. I went to my inbox and it's gone. It's because it went to spam. So some of these are getting filtered in a way that they shouldn't. I think our spam filter is probably a little too strict for public officials. Anyway. But that's just a technical thing that I wanted to bring up because we don't want to be missing emails from folks. You know, who are having, she says she's had a problem with her driveway for like 7 years. So we don't want to miss that. Anyway, I wanted to echo a little bit of what Mark was saying about the budget. I do think, at least in terms of us, so far we've had a workshop on capital expenses and capital allocations. And, I think it can be. I think it's pretty obvious that we haven't corrected in the past or ensured that we had a plan for a balanced budget in the future. I'm very, very grateful for our current city manager, and I'm hoping that given the kind of challenges that we're seeing, that we can make sure that this council is very intentional about ensuring that we don't leave a mess for anybody else coming down the road. The last thing I wanted to address, I appreciate everybody who came and spoke. I stand with you. I would also say, as a city council, we are, and especially in terms of this issue, quite powerless. Those that are sitting out there and those that I am, you know, we're all community members. And we're quite powerful, and there are things that you can engage in with your neighbors and with people who are in the room with you that can help protect people. And I think our biggest job, one of our biggest jobs as city council people, is to create a vibrant community that has third spaces that people can access and build community in. and welcomes community, so that these places are harder to be destroyed. But we're also seeing very, very strong communities facing extreme hardship right now because of what's going on. And yes, I too am afraid of what that means. I'm afraid for my neighbors, and I'm always seeking the advice and the input of those impacted and those that work with those impacted. So just trust that that has happened. We've discussed, we've talked about creative ideas about what we can do to try to protect people at this time. To be frank, it is slim, and that is largely a function of state code. And if you look at the bills that are going in the state legislature right now, it's going to be more slim if they get those bills passed. So advocate at the state legislature. I wouldn't suggest driving down to Charleston. You're not going to get much done. Maybe give them some calls or leave some notes on their bills. We're a little too far from Charleston for anybody to be breaking their back to go down there and talk to people who probably won't listen. But the biggest thing I would tell you right now is that build networks within your community, build community with the people in the room with you, and ensure that when things happen, that we have each other's backs. And I'll conclude my comments.
Thank you. Yes, certainly in favor of everyone expressing their constitutional right to free speech and peaceful protest. I know we had several of those today. Deputy Mayor and I felt compelled to put out the statement last week, and things have not been pleasant since. But it is what it, definitely not the worst backlash that I've gotten for anything in my time on council. I will say that I have been in touch with members of the faith community who lead bilingual church services, who have engaged about ensuring that folks that they generally serve who are feeling the need to shelter in place have all of the resources that they need, and working with him on however I can personally help with that. H3 happens to be home to Catholic Charities, as someone mentioned earlier today. They have an immigration attorney on site at H3, and we are working to ensure that anyone who feels the need for those services has the ability to access that facility and those services. As Deputy Mayor Butcher said, the state has made it incredibly difficult, but that does not mean we have to be complacent. It's a tough situation all around. I will say I do serve with the National League of Cities. Part of my committee's charge is to make recommendations on immigration reform to the federal government. And we did that, and they were passed very handily by the voting members of the NLC, and that comes from red states, blue states, everything in between. Everyone wants to, all local elected officials that were there recognize the need for the federal government to make changes on how things are being enforced. So I have another call with that committee leadership. I will be chairing that committee this upcoming year. I have a leadership call with them on Friday. I'm sure a topic of conversation will be some of those policy recommendations and how we can ensure that we are meeting with the correct people in Washington, D.C. to ensure that even if we're not being paid attention to, that they're at least listening. I don't think there's a strong will at the federal level to make a lot of changes on that at this time, but we still go and we still try. And if there's anything anyone wants me to pass along to our state legislators while we are there early next week, I am certainly happy to do so. I will break my back and go to Charleston. Whether they want to listen to me or not, I will be there, and I'm sure I will be there several times throughout the legislative session. So just to address that, sorry to hear that I missed Lieutenant Sharp's celebration. Lieutenant Sharp has been a very friendly gentleman with me. He made sure that I had the ability to do my ride along with the Morgantown Fire Department and his crew specifically. And when I sat there for 6 hours and got 0 calls after a football game, he allowed me to come back and do some planned action. That's what I like to call it at the time, planned action. We did some fire drills with the university. So I will be sure to reach out to Doug personally, but wanted to acknowledge, sorry that I missed that. The city manager and Councilor Celine and I attended the Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast on Saturday with the Center for Black Culture at West Virginia University. Very good breakfast and presentation from folks there. Very inspiring. I found it one of the better speeches I had heard, especially on the topic. So. It was great. And then yesterday, I also tuned in to the Community Coalition for Social Justice, MLK. They had a Raise Your Voice and Vote theme. So a lot of how to make sure that we are getting people out to the polls so that hopefully we can start to turn the tide on some of these awful things that are happening throughout the country. So. Happy to engage with them on getting people registered and making sure people get out to vote. I do have tomorrow my orientation for the National League of Cities Board of Directors. So I will be missing the partnership board meeting and a Voices of Hunger meeting for statewide food insecurity, but certainly having a position with the NLC and having that connection to Washington, D.C. is important, so I will prioritize that. I also have a call next week. It was put out to all of council, and I drew the straw. I will be representing the city of Morgantown on the West Virginia Cities Work Initiative through the Institute for Justice. I have something somewhere, so, oh yes. So we are bringing together leaders from Wheeling, Parkersburg, Morgantown, Huntington, and Charleston and reviewing local and state level rules that affect the cost and speed of launching a new business. So looking at some of those regulations and how city code or state code could be changed to make things easier for economic development, small businesses throughout our cities. So very much looking forward to that. That's a 10-month-long commitment, and I will certainly be reporting back to council and city staff and be inviting different staff members to attend those meetings with me as the subject pertains to that particular staff member. The warming shelter, as I won't go over more things that Councilor Hollingshead said, but I will say that that facility, I was there last week because I was driving some folks out there to use the services, and that facility remains at capacity pretty regularly. So Catholic Charities, who is our partner with the warming shelter, noted that and did work with the city and the fire marshal and the MCR Hazel's House of Hope facility to add an additional 12 beds, at least temporarily, to regular Grace Shelter as overflow because of the extra cold temperatures that we're experiencing and the snowstorm that we're anticipating to come. So I'm not sure if those will continue to be available all winter or what the timeline on those are, but it is my understanding that as of this week, they are open and available for use. The Woodburn Association of Neighbors has a meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the Woodburn Community Complex. And then, as everyone mentioned, the housing workshop will be at the same facility Thursday from 6 to 7:30. I think that's all. If there's nothing else, is there anyone willing to move us into executive session?
So for executive session, proposed are discussion of matters related to development of property and/or investment of public funds in the area of Spruce Street, Willie Street, and Richwood Avenue. It's anticipated this item will be discussed in executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-9A4B9, pursuant to West Virginia State Code Section 6-9A4B2A, to discuss personnel matters and considering matters arising from the employment of a public employee related to the 6-month evaluation for the city manager, pursuant to West Virginia State Code 6-9A4B2A, to discuss personnel matters and considering new appointments for boards and commissions.
Second.
Yeah, so moved.
Is that all?
That's all.
All in favor?
All right.
All right. We will take a brief recess and then enter executive session.